Hi, my name is Arlene Rivero Carr. I'm a psychologist and training director at Counseling and Testing Services here at UNT. I'm talking about a common emotional response to what is happening as a result of this pandemic, the stay-at-home orders, and mandated social isolation: grief and loss. This topic is based upon my experiences with working with grief with my clients, and also on an interview with grief expert David Kessler on March 23rd in Harvard Business Review. When working through grief, the importance of labeling what we're feeling can't be understated, especially if we don't know exactly what it is that's going on inside of us. We're all experiencing so many emotions at the same time. It can be easy to feel confused, tense, uneasy, panicked, or anything else without really being able to verbalize why. When someone helps us find the words, it helps us to process through and eventually release what it is we're feeling. So I'm here to help you consider if what you're feeling is grief or loss of any sort. There are many types of losses that people are experiencing now. You may be experiencing loss because of the death of a loved one, or significant losses being experienced right now because of your loss of role as a student, a worker, or the loss of what felt like was a safe world. You've probably heard of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, sadness, and acceptance. An important sixth stage was added: making meaning. And it was established with the help of David Kessler. Making meaning stage acknowledges some purpose or meaning, not in losing someone, but in the impact that has resulted from that thing or person you lost. I'll say it again. The making meaning stage acknowledges that there is some purpose or meaning in the life impact that has resulted from the thing or person you lost. It's important to note that the stages here are not linear. They can happen in any order, and you can jump back and forth between them, or even experience more than one at the same time. But you might also be experiencing grief in response to COVID-19 itself. Here you'll see the stages that it might look like. Denial. You might have had the thought that COVID-19 virus can't affect me, or can't affect my family. Or perhaps you've gotten angry for being told to stay home and away from friends and activities that you enjoy. Or perhaps you've experienced bargaining. If I do this, I will get that. If I isolate for 2 weeks, then I should be safe to go out again. You might also be feeling sadness about the idea that many people are hurting right now, and there's not a definite end in sight. Or maybe at times you've come to some acceptance of COVID-19, that it's happening and that you're ready to figure out how to proceed and just get through this. Or maybe you've been able to make meaning yourself by realizing your most important relationships and the ways you want to reach out and stay connected to the people you care about. Kessler also talks about anticipatory grief. Anticipatory grief is when the mind goes on to future worries and is imagining the worst. It can mean loss of safety or the world as we know it. It can be anticipatory grief of the loss of normalcy, feeling uncertain about the future, feeling unable to finish or have closure with what was started. I imagine many of our spring graduates might especially feel this type of anticipatory grief. If you're feeling any of these things or felt them in passing, know that these are common human and adaptive feelings. They're there for a reason, and you don't need to hide or be ashamed for having them. These are really hard times, and to deny yourself the space to mourn or can further intensify the feelings you're having in the long run. While the feelings are all valid, there are still some things to consider that can help you through these uncertain times. One thing is to find balance in the things you're thinking. Your worries are valid. With so much uncertainty, it's easy to think of all the fears and problems. The tip here is to balance your worried thoughts with things that are going well and thoughts of gratitude. So, for example, I might be worried about job security should the stay-at-home order continue. And at the same time, I'm grateful for my current health and for the people working so hard to care for those who are sick. Another tip might be to come to the present. Meditation can be helpful here, but if this sounds too intimidating, let me simplify it a bit. If you think about meditation as focusing on purpose, on something with the intention of growth and healing, then there are lots of ways to meditate. Meditation can look like a prayer life, or regular jogging routine, or creating art. But if that still sounds intimidating to you, consider looking at what's physically in front of you while breathing slowly. Label what you see and appreciate what function it serves for you. Whether you're seeing people around you and need to acknowledge their presence and what role they contribute to you, or acknowledging your physical safety in a particular moment and not straggling on to the future. Another tip is letting go of what we can't control. This is a lot easier said than done. I understand that. It may be creating some predictability of some sort with a loose schedule of some sort. Maybe you choose what music you're listening to today, what time you wake up, what time you eat, what time you sleep, or a craft of your choice that you're going to work on today. What project can you work on? You can control the elements of that project. Lastly, stocking up on lots of compassion, both for yourself and for others. We are all in this together, and kindness and compassion are needed now more than ever. This is a time of stress for all people. You may find nerves feeling short and increased irritability in yourself and in others. Remember that everyone is a little on edge, and you might be too, so try not to take others' reactions to you too personally. And be kind to yourself when you find yourself not doing what you wish you could be doing. Witnessing others' grief moments as well can be helpful, helping to validate what other people might be feeling, and showing compassion for what they're experiencing in a particular moment. The last thing I'll say about grief is that sometimes it makes it hard to feel happy without guilt. What I'd like to encourage people to do is allow them to feel these feelings as well. It is a hard time for many people, but it doesn't mean it should exclude your joy and happiness in the moments that you can find them. I hope you found this graphic and these tips helpful for you. Please feel free to look up more of David Kessler's work. It's really great. And as always, UNT Counseling and Testing is here for you at 940-565-2741. If you'd like a place to talk more about your emotional reactions, grief, anxiety, loneliness, or otherwise, DTS is here for you. You might consider joining our open drop-in Zoom meeting with Dr. Apker from UNT Counseling and Testing Services. He's meeting with people every Thursday from 12 to 1, and all you have to do is email Counseling and Testing Services for the Zoom link. I'm Dr. Arlene Rivero Carr. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you stay well and stay safe.